Live recording of the From Her View podcast. We are live on TikTok, so that is fun. I haven't done that yet, but let's get into it. Let me get set up. I kind of got ahead of myself and got everything else and didn't get all my other things together. So, okay, I'm ready. I can hear myself. I sound pretty decent. I sound pretty decent. So let's get into it. So it is another episode of the From Her View podcast with myself, Sade Camille. And as always, I'm excited for today's episode. I'm always excited to bring something to the podcast. So From Her View is not only a love letter to my children, but it's a love letter to the children that lives within us. And so I really am very intentional about talking about subjects, things that elevate our mindset with Christ. So it's all about renewing our mind in all aspects of life. So whether that be spiritually, career-wise, relationally, um, any of those things, those are the things that I'm trying to be a part of, and this is what the podcast is for. So, me being, not on the ball like I should, I was like, oh, I kind of didn't do an episode and I kind of really need to do an episode. And I was like, well, this is a good opportunity to just go um, live on TikTok in long form and just kind of talk it out. But I do have a very specific topic for today that I do want to talk about. I think that it's extremely important. It's one of those things that we kind of gloss over and we really don't take the time to go as deep in it as we should. So I was like, you know what? I really want to take the time to talk about this because I think that it is beneficial to us. When we have conversations that are real, just real conversations, because we're living a real life. We're going to have things that happen to us that happen to somebody else, and it takes our literal testimony, our literal talking about, okay, yeah, this happened to me, and this is how I overcame it, and this is what I did. And you'll always find that the underlining thing is always going to be um, God at the end of the day. Like that's whew, hope and a prayer. Hope and a prayer is always going to be a thing, but there's also other things to that. So this is like my real life tea time testimony, and I actually got inspired by this because I was scrolling on TikTok myself, and I saw one of the creators talking about this, and I was just like, "Girl, I literally just went through this, so this is going to be some good stuff." So if you ever listen to the episode from Review Podcast when we were doing Think and Grow Rich, there is a portion in that book where we're discussing sexual transmutation. So taking that energy, that desire, and how he talks about how if, because he was writing this book for men, he wasn't necessarily writing it with women in mind, but when he wrote this book, he was explaining how if a man can't control his desires, he's not going to be successful. He's always going to be as successful as he is disciplined. And it, in a nutshell, is talking about celibacy or being able to abstain. And it's one of those things where it's like, people are like, ugh, because we live in a culture that praises promiscuity, that praises access to the unlimited, and it's a conversation that I have all the time, even with my coworkers. I say all the time, like, um, as an attractive, I don't want to say young woman. I look young, but I'm not that young. But as an attractive woman, I do have like people ask me like, oh, like, why are you not in a relationship right now? Like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. Quite to the contrary. I don't have an issue of quantity. The issue is quality. The issue is that, you do a lot of self work, self development in yourself, and you don't want to take the time to take a step back because the people that just so happen to be attracted to you are not on that same level when it comes to the work that you're doing on yourself. So, no, I'm not one of those girls that are like, I need a man, I want a man, I need a man, my man, my man, my man. I will be like that if he's a man of God. I'm not going to be like that if he's just any old man. Um, because I don't have time for that. And so I actually literally was tested on this because here's the thing about God. You could be in a controlled environment, right? You could be in a controlled environment, a controlled setting where you're like, "Well, I'm not tempted by cookies. I don't want cookies, even though cookies are your favorite thing." Okay, brownies are my favorite thing. So, I'm not tempted about a brownie. I don't want a brownie. Like a brownie is not good. Like, what? I don't need a brownie like this and that until you happen upon a bakery and you see the brownie. Now, are you going to be able to put up and shut up in that moment? Are you going to be able to take the things that you've learned, your training, your ability to discipline yourself, and being like, hey, what I have learned, what I have sacrificed, the dedication that I made to myself, not only to myself, but to God, even if you're not a believer, even if you just make the dedication to yourself, because I don't know if you know, but we tend to let ourselves down 100% of the time. Okay? So while you're crying about, oh, this person let me down and this person let me down, and you're holding grudges against all these other people that let you down, please believe that you let yourself down more than those people ever did. Just, you know, for context sake. So I'm like, okay, I'm good at this thing. Like, I'm good. I'm Gucci. And it was so funny because I remember saying that same exact thing years ago, years ago when I was about like 18 or whatever, and I was in like the youth group with a bunch of girls, and at this time I had had my first child already, so teen mom. So I had my first child already, and we're in the youth group and everything like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm not like tempted by that. Like I have zero desire to be with a guy again. Like I have zero desire to like go back into that. And this was like when I was like a babe in Christ. Like I literally had no full understanding and knowledge of the brevity of what I was saying. And just like, you know, it's recorded in the Bible that the enemy was, God was like, oh, where was you at? And he was like, I was in the earth, going to and fro, seeking whom I can devour. And God said, try Job. I feel like he tried me, but I wasn't ready to be tried. Okay, I was not ready to be tried, and it caused me to fall into culture. It caused me to fall into, um, you know, thinking that being like having virginity was just like such a like a ball and chain to carry. But honestly, it's a badge of honor. It's like an exclusivity. So you being able to say that I have enough self, because the reason that so many of us gave it away at a young age is because we didn't know the value of it. I don't know if you've ever had an encounter with a child, and they have a dollar, but you have a coin. And you're like, oh my God, I'll give you this coin for your dollar. Now, mind you, the only coin that's equivalent to a dollar is a what? A dollar coin. But you got a quarter, okay? And you ask this kid, like, hey, do you want this quarter? And they're like, oh my God, yes, yes, I want this quarter. And you'd be like, oh, cool, I'll exchange my quarter for your dollar. And they'd be like, okay. That kid had zero understanding of the value of what they had. They didn't understand what they had. So because they didn't understand what they had, it was like they didn't know. It wasn't until later on that they'd have a little bit of buyer's remorse when now they have to deal with the repercussions of, man, I just got cheated out of something that was a lot more valuable for something that's a lot less valuable, right? And that's the only way that I can explain like virginity and purity. So some of it, we lost it. Look, I lost mine. Y'all probably lost yours. It is what it is, right? We can't go back in time. But in Christ, we are new creatures. So we do have an opportunity to walk anew, right? And that comes in the term of being celibate or abstaining and things of that nature. So I had it where it was somebody that I knew years ago. Years ago, I've known them for quite a time. And I was like, out of the blue, this person kept like trying to contact me. I'm like, what do we have to discuss? Like, I literally haven't spoken to you for 2 years. Now, mind you, I'm getting confirmation after confirmation that somebody's being sent back. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me just not be like, and just hear this person out. So we're having conversation, and the conversation between this person has developed tremendously since I've last spoken to them. And they were like, "Oh, do you want to, I'm thinking about this concert. Like, when's the last concert you've been to? Do you want to come to this concert with me?" And I was like, "Oh, like, yeah, sure," because this is behavior that this person never had. So I was like, "Okay, like, he's turning a new leaf. He acting like how he need to act. Okay." So I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And so he immediately like buys the tickets, sends me the screenshots of him having purchased the tickets, and I was like, okay. So then he follows up with, um, well, that concert isn't until I think it's in like August or something. The concert isn't until August. There's a lot of time between now and August. Is it okay if if we go out before then? And I was like, sure. Um, you give me a place and a time, and I'll meet you there. Just like let me know. And he was like, oh, okay. Like, what days are you off? Like, what does your schedule look like? And I told him, and so we made the plans. Now it comes the day of, right? It comes the day of, and unfortunately, I'm a girl, so girls be girling. What does that mean? We know we got to be somewhere, but what is we doing? We taking selfies. I don't even think I was taking selfies, but it was just taking me a long time to get ready. So it's taking me a long time to get ready, and I'm just like, okay, it's taking a long time for me to get to you, a little bit longer than it normally does. And so by that time, like the restaurant that he wanted to go to, by the time I got there, it would have been like 20 minutes till closing. So it really wouldn't have given us enough time to sit and order and everything like that. So he was like, oh, I ordered it already. And I'll, arrange for us to have a place where we could just sit down and eat and catch up. So that's what happened. I was kind of just like, a place for us to or like arrange to eat. I thought that was weird. So my spidey senses was going off. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I don't know what he thinks is going to happen, but I know what's not going to happen. We go. It was my first time having Nigerian food. It's a good time. The food was absolutely delish. Had jollof for the first time, and it was good. And I hope I remember what that restaurant was because I won't be going back there with that person again. But I hope I remember that restaurant, or I'm sure I could just Google and find that restaurant. It was delicious. And so, we ate. We're sitting down. We're watching TV, having conversations and everything like that. And he's a very like affectionate person, and because of my training with Christ, like I'm just like, okay, like I'm keeping my hands to myself. I'm like, I am not engaging with you in this way because it's not going anywhere that you think it's going to go. Like I am absolutely not engaging with you. So he sits on the bed. Okay, I'm sitting in a chair watching the television. He's like, "Oh, you gonna come cuddle with me?" And I was like, "Oh my God, this is one of those type of setups." But I was like, you know what? Weapons will form, but they will not prosper. So he begins to like be all handsy, and it's like kissing up on me and everything like that. And I'm just like shutting it down, like no. And he was like, well, like getting like a little bit like defensive about it. And I flat out told him, because this is somebody, like I told you, I've known for a long time. So this is somebody that I'm like, hey, I've known you for a long time. Okay, we're in 2025. I've known you since 2021. I've known you for quite some time. And how you met me is not who I am now. I'm showing you who I am. I'm telling you who I am, and you're not believing me. For whatever reason, that's between you and God. But, we have a conversation where I was like, look, we tried this before, okay? It did not come out favorable. I was like, one of us caught feelings and the other person ran. So I'm really not interested in moving further, talking further beyond that. And he's like, no, like, I want to do that, but I also I also want to go places and experience stuff and everything like that. Ladies, if a man tells you that, run. Run. This is one thing that I've learned in my almost 37 years of living, because I'm not ashamed because I look good. Okay. Is that men tell you exactly how they feel about you, what they feel about you. They tell you up front. And you kind of get caught up in the limerence, in the emotions, in the hopes, in the mental, how I painted this picture to be, that you don't want to hear, you don't want to understand, you don't want to take for face value everything that they're telling you, because they're telling you absolutely everything. So, what was not said is not like, oh, but it could be. No, it's never that. It's never that. What they said is what they said, okay? What they said is what they said. I don't know if you've noticed that men tend to not really compromise too much on what they want. Just does that make sense? It's like they either want you or they don't want you. Or they want you but as X, Y, and Z. Okay? And if you accept the terms and conditions, those is the conditions that you will be in term to. Okay? And so that's the type of conversation that we had. And I was just like, no, no. So I'm put in a position, okay, where I am, and I want to be like, make it like clear and plain to people who are on their journey of like celibacy and abstaining and giving their life to Christ and treating their body like a temple and everything like that. It's never easy. Okay. Actually, that first time was very easy. It was very easy because I was just perplexed by the whole situation. I literally verbatim was like, this was not on my 2025 bingo card for me to be going anywhere with you. And he was like, well, it wasn't on my bingo card either. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but you reach out to me. I don't know. I just don't. I don't have the time. It's like literally like wasted like brain cells or whatever. I do enjoy this person as a person, but I don't know. I was just like, I don't know. So I went a second time, and the Holy Spirit was like, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. And that second time, he tried to take it too far. And I was like, no, no. And so the last and final time that I met this person, they took it to the the highest power of taking it too far. And I was just like, no, like what part of no? Like I've been telling you this, and he's like, well, you didn't say that right then and there. I've been telling you this. I don't understand why you don't understand. One of the things that you are going to come across is that, which it was my testing, and it's one of those things where it's like I passed, but I ain't, I I didn't do the good passing, but I passed. You know what I'm saying? But you're going to be tested, and you have to know how to be like. I literally, because this is something that like we kind of have to like delve deeper in, because people will be like, will say it just like how I just said it, like, oh, I was tempted, but I was able to stay the course. That does nothing for the people that are new, that are trying to abstain and thinking that the feeling in attraction is just going to go away. I do know some people that says like, I don't even have the desire or anything like that. And I'm like, no, you're not going to have the desire. But when you get the pre-packaged of something that you like, how is you going to act? That's the real test. How are you going to act? So I have the thing pre-packaged, how I like it. Okay. And I want it, but I don't want it at the expense of my father. That's the thing that people don't tell you. They'd be like, oh, no. What? No, absolutely not. No, you're still human. If you are attracted to a person, you're going to have that feeling, you're going to have that thought, you're going to still have that desire, but you have to be as wise as serpents and as gentle as doves. You have to be able to say, okay, no, what would my father think? I literally had that thought. I literally had that thought of what would my father think right now? Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is the type of conversation that I'm having with myself. And we have to keep it a buck. Like, a lot of times in our walk with Christ, a lot of people will say, yeah, like this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, but your specific journey is not my specific journey. Like, they don't break down, like, okay, do not do these things because of the spiritual implications that it has on you. And that's why it's important. So, culture tells you, oh, like, you could have multiple partners, you can have this and that, you can have this and that. And I literally, TikTok be doing the most. I literally was just scrolling on TikTok, minding my business, and like this, I don't know if it was like a review or if it was like a little snippet of the show or whatever, but it was a little snippet of Love After Lockup with I think it's like Julius, Alexis, and Ashley. And I was just like key cackling, but like also like seeing beyond what is there, right? You have so many fragmented people that are looking to this man to give them identity and validity and love and care and understanding and all these other things, instead of finding that within themselves, with Holy Spirit, with Jesus Christ, and with God. They're thinking that this man who has been locked up for 6 years at a very young age, because I think he's like, I don't know, they're all in their 20s. So he probably got locked up like 17, 18. Like, he's been locked up for those like good formidable years of his life, but previous to that he was in a lifestyle that landed him in this position. No tea, no shade to him, but my heart broke for the two ladies, because, and I tell this to my kids, it is important for you to work on yourself, because you're attracting what you are at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, we attract who we are. So if I am, you know, not loving myself, not caring for myself, I'm not confident, and she flat out said it. One of them actually said